Hey guys, so today we are talking about the Shore Classic 2022. Brian has announced the athletes.
Yes.
So we're going to take a look at who's been invited. Now, he's announced this early on.
Yeah, very early in the year.
There's a lot of competitions to come between now and the Shore Classic. Athletes can get injured. They may decide they'll skip competitions. So it's an early insight into the athletes that he's obviously been looking at. He does have spaces for a few extras, so we'll talk about that in a bit. But right at the start, let's take a look at who's going to be competing this year.
So the athlete lineup as it stands includes the current world's strongest man, Tom Stoltman, the current Europe's strongest man, Luke Stoltman, Mr. Consistency, JF Caron, winner of the 2021 Shore Classic, Trey Mitchell, someone who had a great year in 2021, winning 2 Giants Live competitions, Evan Singleton, third place finisher at 2021's World's Strongest Man and winner of the Magnus Ver Magnusson Classic, Maxime Boudreault, the Georgian Bull, Konstantine Janashia, former Strongman Champions League overall winner, Aivars Šmaukstelis, the American log lift record holder, Bobby Thompson, former Britain's Strongest Man, Adam Bishop, the ever impressive Kevin Ferris, the 4-time World's Strongest Man champion, Zydrunas Savickas, former Britain's Strongest Man, Graham Hicks, the Iron Outlaw, Jerry Pritchett, and of course, 4-time winner of World's Strongest Man, Brian Shaw. So as you said, this is quite early to announce the lineup. Now, the competition is on the 13th and 14th of August this year, and it's moving venues again. This time it's going to be at the Budweiser Events Center in Loveland, Colorado. Now, I've checked it out. I'm just so nosy.
You are.
I've gone on the website. I've had a look. This is a full-scale arena. So it's going to be, it's a step up. It's, it's going to be a big show.
Third year now of the Shore Classic, and we've seen that progress every year from Brian's home gym to a smaller arena last year. Now he's upping it the scale again, getting bigger, more fans able to come and watch. Great from my point of view. I think that's fantastic. The more strongman fans can get to shows and watch these incredible athletes, in my books, always a good thing. Now, the 15 athletes that have been selected so far, all fantastic athletes, but there is 3 obvious names missing from this. Now, obviously, you watch Brian's video, we know he's spoken to other people, he has invited other people, and he's keeping a few spots open as well. Like I said, this is very early to announce all the athletes, and you just really don't know what's going to happen this year. There's a lot of new names coming into the sport. We're going to see Evgeny Markov at the Arnold, so it's exciting to see new faces like that. There's plenty of other up-and-coming talent out there that may well get their place and get a spot into this show later in the year. But for now, these are the athletes that has been invited. But the obvious 3 missing in my book, Lissis, Kiliashkovsky, and Novikov, 3 of the biggest names in the sport. So it's going to be interesting to see their response, whether they're going to look at doing this show, whether they're going to miss it and focus on other shows, because it is going to be a busy year. We've already seen, one of our previous videos, we've announced a number of the shows that are coming, and there is more that are being added all the time. Yeah. So it's going to be an exceptionally busy year, and I say this all the time, athletes need to be selective about what they want to do. But I want to focus on the Shore Classic day, obviously, and 2 of the things that we both really enjoyed about the Shore Classic last year. Firstly, I like the events that Brian picks. Now, he's not announced the events yet, but with Brian, he's going to make it challenging. It's going to be a large amount of events. What did we have last year? Was it 8 events?
8 events over 2 days. I expect the same this year.
Yeah, so we'll be looking at another 8 events. I think 8 events is perfect. 5 events is very difficult to really decide who is the best. Very easy to make 5 events that you really like for anyone, But when you put 8 events, 10 events, whatever it might be,
it's an all-round test, isn't it?
It becomes about who is and also, and I will give Brian credit for this, the amount of athletes he puts in.
Yes.
So you get a lot of shows that got 10 guys. When there's 16, 17, 18 guys, you have the ability to catch up, but you have an ability to lose a lot of points as well. So it makes it exciting, I think, in terms of a fan watching.
Yeah.
The end of day 1 doesn't necessarily decide who's going to be going on to win. There's lots of points still to play for. There's possibility of mistakes. And, for me, as a former strongman competitor, and as a fan, I like the bigger format with more athletes and more events.
The Shore Classic, it's almost like a fantasy World's Strongest Man final. It's how I want to see the World's Strongest Man. I want more men. And more events tested in more ways, because there's no place to hide those weaknesses. It's an all-round test of strength. And at World's Strongest Man, there's always, because it's only 10 guys, and there's always 1 or 2 groups of death. There's
I guess someone would argue there's more than 10 men, because you've got the 25 or 30 guys in the heats,
yes,
but it's only 10 in the final, is what you're saying.
Exactly. And then there's always a really good guy who doesn't make the final, and I'm always sat there thinking, I wonder how he would have done. So the Shore Classic is the perfect opportunity to see all of the best guys together, which is why I really, really, really would like to see Martins, Alexei and Mateusz in this competition also.
It would make it exciting if those 3 entered it. It gives the competition so much more excitement, so much more kind of legitimacy to decide, who's really looking to be the man,
the strongest man in the world. It kind of like, without even knowing the events, I felt if you had those 3 guys in there also, no matter what 8 events, because Brian's not going to choose 8 stupid events, is he? No. It will be like one of the ultimate strongman competitions, I feel. I think it's really exciting. Oh, I really hope he gets those 3 as well. I didn't know how bad I wanted it until now.
Well, time will tell. I mean, we're going to see lots of battles with all these guys. And like I said, as an athlete, you do have to pick and choose. You can't do everything because you end up destroying yourself. And, by the time the Shore Classic comes round, they're not even standing. They're injured or unable to train. So they need to be selective. And obviously, prize money becomes a big factor of that.
Yeah. Because 2 of the competitions that pay the most, WUS and Rogue Invitational, haven't announced their dates yet, so that could be a deciding factor for some athletes. But I really want to see all the top guys together in one show, and I feel like with the current formats for all the shows the way that they are, the Shore Classic is the only one that really allows that.
It does, I think, because it has that the bigger number of athletes. You're always, even when we see 10 of the best guys in one competition,
there's always some really
you're always
good guys
thinking,
missing.
how would such and such have done? So it would be nice to see 16 of the best.
Yeah. 20. You never know.
Well, we, like we say, Brian's, not announced the final amount of athletes, and obviously going based on last year, he's happy to have a big number compete. So, and one thing I remember talking to all the athletes, they really had a great experience.
Yeah, they did.
Competing last year. So nice to see athletes being looked after and treated well.
So one takeaway from last year, one thing I hope is different this year, is how we, us fans at home, can watch the Shore Classic. I do not mind paying for a strongman competition, especially knowing it's going to the athletes. But the one thing I felt was missing, I know that the fans that were there, they said the atmosphere was electric, and you could feel and you could tell that from watching it. But there was no atmosphere, or it was a weird viewing experience from those at home, because obviously it's pre-recorded, edited, uploaded. I do not mind that at all. But then we had issues. Lots of people couldn't get onto the website, and the way that people aren't allowed to discuss it. Yeah. Like, I know a lot of people, they won't care. They pop it on whatever and they just watch, and it doesn't matter to them. But for a lot of hardcore strongman fans, they have like watch parties. They're in the forums together, or they're, if it's something streamed live on YouTube, there's the chat function, which sometimes is terrible and you don't want to look at that, but a lot of the time it really adds to the user experience. I mean, I'm lucky I have you to watch with, but it does feel a little bit flat in that sense, and he did say that's something they're going to improve for this year.
Yeah, hopefully we will see that improve. I mean, let's take Trey Mitchell winning last year. I felt the holding back on announcing results, holding back on being able to talk about it publicly, actually affected Trey. Because by the time we could get, Trey and fans were talking about him winning and stuff like that, it was a week later and it was Europe's Strongest Man. And people had moved on. And sports like that. Yeah. I think we're in a day and age now where we need these things quick and fast. I think a slightly better platform to put it on would help.
Something like Facebook events, and I don't think you have to have a Facebook account to pay to watch an event.
Facebook, YouTube, there's all.
You could still do it pay per view, and we know that platform could cope with that sort of traffic, because it's no qualms waiting an hour or 2 to watch it, but you all kind of want to watch it together, don't you? So maybe it's just me, but I know it's not just me, because
I don't think it's just you. I'm a big sports fan when it comes to lots of different sports, and I've been involved in strongman for years. Obviously, I actually find it embarrassing when I have to tell people they've got to wait however long to watch. I mean, there was a time you're telling people to wait 11 months to watch certain shows, which is just stupid for sport.
Yeah, of course.
I think with sport we like, as fans, to be talking about it, to get the reaction immediately, to give the athletes that win that kind of recognition they deserve, because it does die off the longer you leave it.
Yeah, it does.
And people might watch and say, "Oh, you're only saying that because you guys love talking about shows," but I'm pretty sure most of you watching, you like interacting about whatever it is, your favourite athletes, how they did, how they performed, what went well, what surprised you.
Do you know what's a great example? The atmosphere when we were all sat together watching a spreadsheet. Yeah. We weren't even watching the show. There was a spreadsheet and all we had was atmosphere. Yeah. And it was exciting. It was hype. And we're literally just pushing spreadsheets. But that goes to show you have to jump on that hype, I think. Absolutely. While it's there, I think Brian really needs to capitalise on it. And, the bigger he makes it, the harder it's going to be to contain results, because people are going to be in the audience sneakily filming things and uploading. You know what people are like. They were doing it at World's last show, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't post anything as
out of
respect for Brian.
Yeah.
But I had results sent to me. We want to be able to just enjoy it as fans all together, not have to wait. And I think if Brian can make that happen, it's potentially going to boost it up to one of the absolute biggest shows.
Agreed.
I do feel, and this is talking to Strongman fans, hardcore fans are happy to, especially Brian Shaw fans, and there's a lot of them, which is great. It's helped the sport grow. But there's people that just are Strongman fans that last year didn't have any interest in the Shaw Classic.
No.
Because they had to wait. And there's those side of it. So I think to make it bigger overall and really get more and more people, not just the Brian Shaw fans involved, but the whole strength community, I think we need to look at that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think the Shaw Classic is an incredible event.
It's going to be...
I'm going to be excited to see who ends up on that list as a finalist
as well.
And of course the events. I mean, last year's events I really liked.
Yeah, I did too.
I think Brian does two things, like inviting athletes. He knows who the top guys are.
Yeah.
And he has respect from all the athletes, which is great. And he really understands strongman events. So I just couldn't fault the events that he put out last year, and I'm hoping it's going to be the same this year.
So while we don't know yet how you're going to be able to watch online, we do know there are still tickets available to the event, and we've included a link in the description below.
Let us know your thoughts as always, guys, and we'll catch you next time. While you're here, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my awesome strength content.